loud enough y'all can hear me. It's my pleasure to introduce this afternoon author, lecturer, teacher, and fundraising consultant, Mr. Jerry Smith, who founded the J.F. Smith Group in 1991. His mission in fundraising to enable clients to fulfill their fundraising dreams through a unique educational, professional, directed development partnership has proven successful in now over 23 years of business. Following a successful development career as the executive director of alumni and development at Auburn University, including a $110 million campaign ending in 1985, Smith was asked to begin to speak to the Board of Trustees of a large Christian school in Birmingham to offer advice with regard to a possible capital campaign. At the end of the Board of Trustees, Smith was asked if he would take the job. Since then, the J.F. Smith Group has conducted feasibility studies capital campaigns for clients all across the country, from Edmond, Oklahoma to Washington, D.C., from Chicago, Illinois to Orlando, Florida. It's my pleasure this afternoon to introduce Mr. Jerry Smith, President and CEO of the J.F. Smith Group, as well as Mark Martin, Senior Vice President.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity. I have to ask a question before we start. Does anyone in here own a Mustang? Well, I'll tell you what. Mark and I came in today, and we were driving a rental car Mustang, and so we get out of the car, and the blinkers are on. We can't turn the blinkers off. So there's a car out there in the parking lot with the blinkers off, and so I told someone, well, that's just to allow us to get a fast getaway, I guess. But anyway, again, thank you. We appreciate the opportunity to be with you today, and thank you for allowing us to conduct the feasibility study. And I want to thank Dr. Berry and Josh and Jenny and others that were responsible for us coming in and doing this study. But I want to give you sort of an overview of the study today. I hope you had a chance to read the report. There's a lot of information in that report. I would suggest reading it a couple of times. But what you're seeing is you're getting every answer to every question we asked in the survey. Every answer to every question. So again, there's a lot of information in there. And let me tell you why you do a feasibility study to begin with. You do a feasibility study like you build a house with a solid foundation. You build a campaign with a solid feasibility study. It gives you that basis for making decisions. And that's why we've seen campaigns that fail, or the campaigns where they didn't decide to do a feasibility study. They just decided as a board, we're going to go out and raise X number of dollars, and half of them fail. They don't reach their goal. And in this business, failure is not an option. You've got to reach your goal. Once you set your goal, you have to reach that goal. And so what you have to do then is to do the study to rather determine what is that goal. And so our objective in doing a feasibility study is not only to give you a number that we think you can raise over a 5-year period of time, but also cultivate relationships that are out there, people that have given back to you over the years, and so that helps too. And that's why we interview a large number of people. A lot of companies will interview 50 or 60. We interview a lot more. So I'm going to give you all these numbers in just a few minutes. But let me tell you again why you do a feasibility study. You do a feasibility study to determine the positives, the negatives, the pluses, the minuses, anything that might affect the outcome of the campaign. So Mark is going to help me with the slides, and hopefully you can see some of this. Our charge, we had 4 charges, and that was to determine the perceptions that are out there, determine the support of the plan, we presented the plan, determine the financial resources, and if those financial resources were available to you, then come up with and recommend a campaign plan. Okay? We tested $37 million, almost $38 million. Let me tell you about that test number. You can see the number of projects we had there, about 6 projects that we tested. When we sat down with Dr. Berry and Josh and Jenny and others, we said, look, what's your vision? Dr. Berry, what's your vision over the next 3 to 5 to 7 years? And so if money is no object, if you had $37 million today, what would you spend it on? And so these are the projects that they came up with. Not pie in the sky. These are actual projects that can be funded if the resources are available to you. So we tested that number, and then we'll come back and we'll tell you in a few minutes exactly what we found from our survey. Okay? We did 111 interviews, 130 interviewees. We did 38 people in focus groups, and then we did 582 people on the online survey. That totals up to about 700 people that we involved in this process. We gathered a lot of information. Again, the more people we come see there are 453 alumni that we interviewed. And that's 62% of our 700 number. And we did that because that's where the largest concentration of your funds are going to come from. It's going to come from your alumni group. But we'll be able to show you what other groups are giving too. But again, that's a large number, and that's what we wanted to have a large number of interviews there. All right. First question we asked in the survey, and many of you were interviewed. First question we asked in the survey was, how strong of Southern Arkansas University? And so that's a really important question. And I'll tell you why it's important. Because of 10 reasons why people give to nonprofit organizations, that's number one. The reason they give to you is because they believe in what you do. They believe in your mission. And so when you look at this and see, we said on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being low, 2 to 4, 5 being high, you know, how strongly you believe. 100% believe in the mission of what you're doing. They believe in you. And again, that's as we start talking about a possible campaign, this is certainly a strong indicator that you can have some success when people feel that strongly about it. A lot of people said, you know, they think it's too long, you know, but they said it's good. It's a good mission statement. Okay. Then we said, what about fulfilling the mission? How strongly do you believe that they're fulfilling the mission? Here's the mission. Now, what are they doing? Are they fulfilling that mission? Are they doing what they say they're going to do? And 99% said, yes, we do. We think that they are fulfilling their mission. A lot of positive statements about that. And I'll talk a little bit about, you know, the online survey, 97% said you were fulfilling the mission. So, again, the focus group said 100%. Everybody seems to be in line there with you fulfilling the mission. Okay? Okay, we said our next question was, what do you consider to be the strengths here at Southern Arkansas University? What are the strengths? And you look at the chart and see faculty and their dedication to the students. I mean, we just heard some of those stories at lunch. 38 people mentioned that. On the personal interviews, 38 people mentioned it. Overall caring atmosphere of the university, again, I think it comes back to the faculty and the staff. You know, we had 25 people. Small sizes mentioned 23 times. Leadership administration 15 times. And affordability of value education was mentioned about 15 times. Okay? Then we said, what about the limitations? What are the limitations here? What do you consider to be the limitations? And we only had a couple of unless it's 10% or more, we don't count anything. And geographic location was mentioned 25 times. Keep that in perspective. We did 111 interviews. Only 25 people mentioned that. Lack of things to do in Magnolia for students, 17 people mentioned that. Okay. The next question was, how would you rate the public image of the university? What about the public image? Let me tell you why we asked that question. Because after you get outside the core group, after you get outside the family, so to speak, of the university, and we start soliciting other people, then this is an important question. Because we want to know, how do people feel about this university? How do they feel about it? And Little Rock and other places. And so you can see that 95% rated it excellent, very good, or good. You know, everybody's saying, hey, people who know this institution, know about this institution, think it's great. You know, they provide a quality education, produce quality students. So it's a very positive point. I can tell you this. We did a study for an organization where that number came back at about 48%. And so when we started going out trying to talk to people outside the family, so to speak, then it became more and more difficult, and we didn't raise the funds that we wanted to raise from that group. So again, strong indicator that people feel good, and people that are not necessarily associated with this school feel good about this institution. Okay. Communication. This is a really key question. You know, how would you rate the communication between you and Southern Arkansas University? And, you know, 95% rated it actually very good or good. You know, they're saying they keep you well informed. You know, it's gotten better. You know, when you look at the online survey, 88% rated it excellent, very good, or good. It wasn't asked in the focus group. But again, that's an important question, because if you're not communicating with your constituency, then they're not going to give back to you. So you have to have a record of communication. You have to be communicating. You have to be telling them what you're doing and how you're doing it, and how well you're doing it. So again, another strong indicator that you can be successful in a campaign. All right. So we said, what was the most effective? I thought this was a good question. We typically don't ask this question in our survey. Dr. Berry and Josh wanted to put that in, and I thought it was interesting, and we may include this, Dr. Berry's okay with your permission, in some of our future studies, because it said to people, how do you want to be communicated with? A and male was 56%. So again, this gives you some idea, how do people want to be communicated with? I think it's a great question. Okay. What about the university magazine? That's a question we typically don't put in our survey either, but I think it's a great question. Again, it all relates to communication. How people feel about the university, are they hearing about it, they're seeing the positive things. Because if I'm a graduate, I want to read about the positive things. I don't want to read about the negative things. I want to read about the positive things. I remember one time when I was at Auburn, and I was with the College of Business dean, and so he and I went out to make some calls together on a couple of occasions, and he would go in and he'd start talking about all the negative things that were going on at Auburn. I mean, he was saying, we don't have at that time, I'll tell you how old I am, but he said, we don't have chalk for the board. And, so we got back in the car, and I said, George, I said, is anything positive going on in the College of Business at Auburn University? He said, yeah. I said, well, start talking about it. Because people want to know, you sell positive, you don't sell negatives. And that's one of the things that your magazine is doing. It's selling positive things about this institution and communicating. They love it. People talk about it a lot. I mean, they love it throughout the report. They talk about they love the magazine, they think it's great, and we wanted to see more. Okay? Effectiveness of the Board of Trustees. That's a really strong number. 94% rate the Board of Trustees is excellent, very, very good. We see that number being much less than that, or a smaller number. And again, that's a strong indicator because people believe in the leadership, and that's what campaigns start with, the leadership. Starts with the Board of Trustees, starts with the Board of Governors, starts with the Foundation Board. The leadership is there. The leadership is there, and with the President and the administration. The leadership's there, then they feel good about giving their money back or their resources back to the university. So again, that's a pretty strong thing. People said, I know these people, they're great people, they're doing a great job. I'm not sure exactly what they do, but I think that they must be doing a great job because I see the university progressing and making a lot of positive things happen. Okay. Then we said about the effectiveness of the Foundation Board. Again, a really strong number, 97%, which are excellent, very good, or good. I said this last night because I made a presentation last night. I've seen these numbers, for whatever reason, I've seen numbers continually go up with boards. I remember 91, 92, and I'm starting out in this business, and we're measuring effectiveness of boards. I'm seeing that number at 62, 63, 64%, 70% maybe, and that would tend to be average. And now we're seeing higher numbers, but we're not seeing numbers quite as high as we're seeing today. And again, that's a really strong indicator of the leadership and how people feel about the leadership. And I can't tell you how important that is in terms of moving forward in a campaign. You've got strong leadership at the top. That's one of the qualities that you have to have if you're going to succeed in a campaign. You have to have leadership, and that comes from the two boards and not the rear. Okay? Leadership of the President, 100% made out very excellent, very good. I would say Dr. Barry, we may have interviewed a lot of your relatives, but I don't think we did.
It's the first year, Jerry. It's the first year.
So again, why is that important? It's very important because when you're going out into a campaign, people who make leadership gifts, want to talk to the decision maker. That's the President. And so he needs to be there. When his ratings are that high, his ratings are in that 90% range, then first of all, it allows us to go in and sit down and talk to people, open the door for them, and it allows us to get in front of them and make a request to them. So this is really a strong number when you're looking at a possible campaign. The President's ratings are that high. Okay. Leadership with other administrators, again, here we are, 97%. Everybody talked about the other administrators, how well they feel about them, how strongly they feel about them. I think it's a real positive. I mean, again, if I hadn't already said this report was extremely positive. There were a lot of great things that came out of this. And I think this is the result of the leadership we've had over the years. Dr. Rankin certainly should take credit for a lot of everything he's done and building into this and making this positive feeling that people have about this university. So that's, again, positive. Okay? Quality, we asked about the quality of the faculty when you were in school. Can you tell us about the quality of the faculty when you were in school? And 96% said, hey, it was But here are people that we interviewed that said, yes, we rate, they were great. They were great. The faculty was great. Okay, then we asked the question, Mark, we said, you get back up there. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. The quality of the faculty today. How about the quality of the faculty today? So, you know, you're getting their perceptions. Remember, we determined perceptions out there. That was one of our charges. We said, how would you determine, what about 96% rated and excellent, very good, or good? That's their perception. Their perception is that the faculty, the quality of faculty has not changed over the years since they left, since they graduated. You know, so when I see they're doing a great job. All of those positive things that came out of the study. Again, that you see how positive that is when you start talking about a campaign. The fact that they felt good about the fact that they were in school and things haven't changed. The faculty still is strong. And again, it just gives them, you know, if I'm a graduate of this university, I want you to tell me positive things that are going on. And that's what I said before. I want to know that they feel good about the faculty today. That's their perception. Okay? Now, this is probably the most important question in the whole survey. When we asked about the quality of education, you know, when you were in school, what about the quality of education? How did you feel? Were you prepared? Did they prepare you? And 97% says excellent, very good, or good. Yes, they prepared me. You know, I went off to graduate school, and I was as prepared as anyone in graduate school or medical school. And they talk about that. So again, it was excellent. I think that's really a positive number. So go to the next one. So the quality of academic education today, what about that? 99% rated it excellent. That's their perception. 99% rated it excellent today. So that's like a broken record here when I keep talking about the fact that you've got so many positive things that came out of this survey, but it all ties together when you start talking about going back out and seeing people and asking them for their financial resources. And again, that's the most important question we asked in the survey because we found this out. If people rate the quality of academic education as low, they tend to give less. And rate it as high, they tend to give more. So it's a very, very important question. As I said before, it's probably the most important question in the whole survey. Okay? What about the academic strengths? What are the academic strengths here, this institution? The business was mentioned 41 times, agriculture mentioned 32, engineering, new engineering school 23 times, sciences 17. Just to give you some idea about how people feel, what's their perceptions on the academic strengths. Okay? What about limitations, academic limitations? We didn't have anyone to mention that. No one mentioned any academic area that they felt was a limitation. Okay, we asked the question too about when was the last time you were on campus? That's a good question. When was the last time you were on campus? 86% said they were here within the last year. Within the last 2 years, 8%, 3%, and 3% within the last 2 years. But the point is that within the last year, 86% of the people we interviewed, of those 111 people, have been on campus. They know what's going on. Does that help you when you go out and talk to them about a possible gift? Absolutely. They know, they see the building. They know what's going on. What about the academic facilities? 99% rated an excellent, very good, or good. You know, I can tell you, I visited a lot of college campuses, and I was in Cleveland, Mississippi on Tuesday, you know, at Delta State, and I can tell you, you've got a beautiful campus, beautiful buildings. It really, really looks great. So again, people like what they see. They talk about being a first-class small university. Okay. What about the athletic facilities? 82% rated an excellent, very good, or good. The only thing they talk about is some of our football and gym, our basketball facilities are not the best, but everything else, talk about baseball being very positive and a great facility there. So, okay. Campus grounds, again, 96% rated an excellent, very good, or good. You know, again, people see this, 86% but on the campus. They can give you that. They can tell you how they feel about it. And they do say it's really very positive. All right, so here's our fundraising perceptions. So we said to individuals, here are our 6 projects. Here are the 6 projects that we're testing, totaling about $38 million. We hand them that sheet, and we say, do you agree with these projects? Are these the projects that the university should be out raising money for? And so you can see what happened. 84% said yes. 84% said yes. Now, that's about an average number or so for us. Would I have liked to have seen that number a little higher? Yes. I would like to have seen it in the 90% category. But given a 5. Faculty staff support was mentioned, 358 times. Realized the facilities 350, program opportunities 323, student life 315, athletic enhancements about 233. So you get a breakdown of how people feel about the projects. And so of course those top 3 projects are pretty well in line, all of them pretty close together. Okay. Then we said, what about areas more compelling for funding? Are there other areas there that you feel are more compelling for funding than the ones we've just shown you, the ones we just mentioned, the ones that the universities identified as the projects we want to try to go out and raise money for? Always ask that question. And, they talk about culinary arts and we need a hotel on campus and, they talk about, they mentioned the faculty enhancements and support and all of those things that are out there. So, but what we said was, 64%, almost 65% said no, we think those are the right projects. Okay. So we said, where do you place Southern Arkansas University in your philanthropic priorities? Where do you put them? First, second, third, other? You can see 25% said it first. 25% of the people we interviewed, of 111 people we interviewed, said it's first. 32% said it's second, and 27% rated it third. So 84% of the people we interviewed, personal interviews, said you're in our top 3. 84%. Again, that's a really strong number. All right. So what about your willingness to give? Back to the campaign, if we go into a campaign. So we asked the question, we said, if we go forth in a campaign, would you and your family be willing to give to the campaign? And so we had 87% of the people we interviewed said, yes, we will consider a gift. 87% said, yes, we'll consider a gift. That's a really high number. So that totaled up to about 393 people out of the total group that we interviewed. And then we followed it up with, we said, without asking for a commitment today, can you give us a range of where your possible gift may fall from low to high, considering it can be done over a 5-year period of time? And we had 347 people that gave us a gift range, that actually gave us a range of where their gift may fall. Again, a strong number of where people are coming from, and they're willing to put their money back into this university. Okay? We said, okay, what about the company foundation? Would they be willing to give? And you see up here, 16% said the company is willing to make the commitment. Now, you look at that 16%, we said it's a low number. Not based on our previous university feasibility studies. It's about average. Our average number is 15 to 25% in that category. So again, what we said was, 16% said they would consider a gift. That's 48 people total. And out of the 48, when we asked the question, would you consider making a gift, 40 people said yes, we'll consider making a gift, or we will give you a gift range. 40 people give us a gift range for a company or company foundation. Okay. So our cumulative low, when we asked that question, we added up, our cumulative low was right at $2 million. A higher number was about $7.2 million. We had 441 potential gifts, which means that we had 441 people that said, yes, we'll consider, and we had 387 gift ranges. Again, a really high number. Now, I'll tell you how we take those numbers and come back with a calculated working goal. Okay? So what I want to show you, and Mark, you got the pointer over here. Basically, you can't really probably see this very well. It's in your book. I can't see it very well either. I'm not up here on it. But what I wanted to show you was, like a foundation board member, that column right there, that says that 24 people, we interviewed 24 people, 24 foundation board members, and 20 of those, when we asked the question, would you consider a gift, 20 said yes, and 17 actually gave us a gift range. So again, that's the way you read that chart. You go all the way across and you see, whether they gave an individual number as a group and when they gave you a company number, gift number. Okay. So this is the totals. When you look at the breakdown of the constituency and look at your alumni. Remember I said we interviewed over 400 alumni, and look at your alumni numbers. The low number is 907, the high number is about $4.5 million. That's what we expected. We expected that number to be high. If that number not been high, then we probably wouldn't be looking at the overall number we're talking about. So again, you can just see how that breaks down. I thought the faculty and and staff number, when we total up the faculty, the retired faculty and staff, it's almost about $300,000 that the faculty and staff are willing to give back to the campaign. I think that's a really impressive number and speaks well and highly of the faculty here and the retired faculty. We don't see numbers like that. Okay. Then we said, okay, do you currently give to the annual fund? Do you currently give to the annual fund? And we had 79% of people that said, yes, we give to the annual fund or annual fundraising activities. We asked that question because we followed up with, would your possible annual fund prevent you from or would your possible campaign gift prevent you from giving to the annual fund? Because we're not trying to rob Peter to pay Paul. We go into campaigns, Mark and I go into campaigns all the time, and we have people that will say to us, Jerry, I can give to the annual fund, or I can give to the campaign. Which one do you want me to give to? And I always say, give the annual fund. Give the annual fund. We're not trying to rob Peter to pay Paul here again. What we're doing is trying to build a change of culture so that they give annually, but they give above and beyond that to the campaign. And so in this case, what we found was 54% said that it would not affect my ability to give to the annual fund and the campaign. Over half the people we talked to said, yes, I'll be able to give annually as I'm giving now, and then I'll be able to give the campaign gift too. Okay? We asked a question about estate gifts. We said, do you currently have some opportunity in your estate plans? And we had 15 people on a personal interview that said, yes, we already have them in our estate plans. We said online survey, there were 21 that indicated that we already have university in our estate plans. And the focus group, we had 2 people that say that yes, we already have the school in our estate plans. So that's a total of 38. Now, I don't know where those 38 people fall in terms of information that you have, or you have that information documented. We certainly, if you go forward, we want to give you those names, make sure that you can document that so you've got a record of it. And people have indicated that they want to leave you an estate gift, and we've already heard some estate gift information today, which is exciting. Then we said, we followed up with, if you don't have them in your estate now, would you consider putting them in your estate plan? And on the online survey, we had 36 people said, yes, I'll consider it. On the online survey, 167 people said, yes, I'll consider putting the school in my estate plan. And the focus group, 7 of those. So 210 people said, yes, I'll consider putting it in my estate plan. Now, why is that important? Because in campaigns, in university campaigns, what you find is about 30 to 35% of your campaign goal, 30 to 35% of your campaign goal will come in the form of estate gifts. And that's really important. Now, we've been working at Valdosta State. I'll tell you a real quick story. We worked at Valdosta State. They have a goal of $43 million. And so the development, we're meeting with this retired faculty member. There we go back to the faculty again. Retired faculty member, 88 years old, former chemistry teacher. And so we're talking to him about an outright gift, him making an outright gift. And he said, really shouldn't make an outright gift, not at my age. And so then I said, well, have you ever considered putting Valdosta State in your estate plans? And he said, yeah. He said, they're in my estate plans now. I said, no. I said, could you tell me the value you placed in your estate for Valdosta State? And he thought a minute, and he said, well, I think it's $20 million. Well, after we got the shock off of our face, I said, can you verify that some way and document that for us so that we can count that in the campaign? He said, absolutely. So after a couple of weeks, he comes back and he says, well, it's not $20 million, but it's $17 million. $17 million. So that's what I'm saying. When you're going to campaigns, you never know. There will be surprises way up here that you don't even think about that's going to have positive things that are going to happen. Now, to be honest with you, there's some surprises down here, too, that you don't know what's going to happen either. But there are more positive surprises that happen in campaigns than negative surprises that happen in campaigns. So again, that's a really positive story, and you never know unless you're out there in that campaign and talking. We would have never, Valdosta State would have never talked to him had they not been in a campaign mode. Okay. So we said, okay, would you volunteer? If we're going to a campaign, would you volunteer? And 58% or 59% said, yeah, we'll volunteer. And we said either in a working role, succeed when you're staff-driven, not volunteer-driven. So what does that mean to you? It means that we're not going to come around here and give each of you 5 proposals and tell you to take those 5 proposals and present them to your 5 best friends. So when you do, they probably won't be your best friends anymore. No, we don't believe in boards soliciting. We don't believe in boards soliciting other people. I can tell you from my experiences, I've learned a lot in my 25 years. You know, I mean, I've made a lot of mistakes. And one of the mistakes I made was when I first started was giving volunteers proposals and saying, go out and present those proposals to your friends. And so we came back in a couple of weeks and found out they'd done nothing. They'd done nothing. And so, again, we found out that if it's going to succeed, it succeeds with staff driven. That doesn't mean that you don't have a role, because you do have a role. And the role you have in a campaign is to help us identify individuals. We'll give you a list and let you pick from that list. And we don't give you more than 3 names. And so you pick those 3 names, and then we ask you then to write them a letter or your stationery, call them, write them a handwritten note, take them to lunch, take them to breakfast, take them to dinner, talk to them about why you're on this committee and you're on this board, and then your objective is to get an appointment. Get an appointment for the development office to go and make a solicitation or to cultivate a relationship. Now, you know, if you get an appointment, I can tell you the hardest part of this job is getting an appointment. If you get an appointment, you're 80% there. 80%, that's how important it is. And that's the role some of you can play in helping us as we move forward in this campaign. It's helping us get an appointment, building relationships with people. You know people, and you know relationships you have with them, and it's a lot easier for you to get that appointment than it may be for you know, the development office to do that. So, again, that's the important role. All right, so here's our recommendations. Our recommended goal is $21,600,000. Now, you say, well, that's a long way from $7.2 million, high number that you had. Well, let me try to explain to you how we get to this 21.6. First of all, we tested 38 million, and we come back and say you can raise 21.6. We're very conservative. We are a conservative company. We don't believe that you can set a goal of 30 million and raise 21.6. That's a failed campaign. You know, you set a goal of 21.6 and you raise 25 million or you raise 30 million, that's a huge success. And so we want to put you in a position to succeed, not in a position to fail. That's why we're very conservative with our numbers. So let's go to that next chart. Now this is, I don't know if you can see this because I certainly can't see it.
On page 119, I believe.
Yeah, 119. I'm going to take my sheet so I can read from my sheet, but I can't see that. I know you can't see it back in the back. But let me just tell you, I'll run through these numbers, and certainly if you have questions, I'll be glad to try to respond to you. What number did you say it was?
Page 119 and your...
119. So what we did was, that top number, we asked Josh to give us a list of 5,000 names from the database. 5,000 names. So actually it's 4,943. We ran those through electronic screening. Now, some of you may be familiar with electronic screening, but if you're not, that's a process that we go through today where we send it off. All we need is names and addresses. We send it off, and the companies, a lot number of companies that do this, they'll come back and give us your gift capability. Not your net worth. We don't know your net worth. We want to get what your gift capability may be. And so they give us that. And so what they told us, the gift capability of those 4,000 names was $173 million. That was their gift capability over a 5-year period of time. Then we said, okay, who are our top 500 people? Who are our top 500? And so, we've got to determine, we don't start with number 1 and go down to 500. You know what? That doesn't work. And I'll tell you why it doesn't work. We were doing a campaign at ULM, University of Louisiana Monroe, and so we screened a number of people, and the number 1 person that came off their list, his name was Fred Smith. Anybody know who Fred Smith is? President Fred FedEx. So I said, is Fred Smith a graduate here of ULM? I said, no, we don't know him. But he had given a memorial gift in honor of someone so the top 500 then had a gift capability of $56 million. Then we took the 205 feasibility study participants that actually gave us a high number in the study. And then the ones that had the gift capability, the gift giving capacity, was $10 million. And so when you look at what they actually gave us, they gave us a number of $4 million, but they had the gift capability of giving us $10 million. So our baseline number was 40%. What I'm saying there is that for every $1 they're capable of giving you, they're willing to give you 40 cents. They'll give you 40 cents of that $1. That's a high number. That's a high number compared to what we've seen in the past. Then we looked at, okay, what about the people who gave us individual high numbers in the feasibility study? That was $6.2 million. We take 20% off the top. We've been doing that for years. We take 20% off. Now, we expect people to give us a high number to actually give us a higher number in the campaign. But to be conservative, we took 20% off, and so that came down to $4.9 million. Then we looked at the online survey. That was $679,000 for an online survey. Because it was an online survey, it was not a personal interview, we take 50% off of that. So that's $339,000. Then we looked at the feasibility study, focus groups, that was $377,000. It was 38 people that we interviewed in the focus group, and we took 50% off of that, $188,000. Then we always say gifts in anticipation of the campaign. So you go back several months in anticipation of the campaign, and you count everything that comes in. And that goes back to when you started talking about the feasibility studies, talking about the campaign, and you start counting that number. Now, when Auburn did their next to last campaign, they did $650 million in that campaign. They went back 3 years, and pulled in a $25 million gift to their $650 million campaign. I'm not suggesting that or even recommending that, but unless you had a $25 million gift, then we might talk about it. But then we said, okay, so that was $2 million. Then we looked at the unsolicited gifts, annual fund that were coming in. And so you're raising about half of that $10 million was coming in the form of phonathons, direct mail, and so we looked at that's $5.2 million, and we took 50% of that number, 50%, half of that number, which is 2.6. Then we talked about, okay, here's the big number. We looked at the remaining top 500 we did not interview. That was 329 people. We did not interview. And the gift capability of that top 500, or that 329 people, was $42 million. And so we took 25% of that number, not 40%, and we've taken 40%, you can see what that would do to the bottom line number. And so that came up to $10.7 million. Then we looked at your estate gifts. Remember I said you count estate gifts. And we went back and looked at the estate gifts that you've received over the last 3 or 4 or 5 years. And the average estate gift that you've been receiving was about $60,000. Now we had 22, we went back to and said, of the number of people that indicated, of the 36 I believe, that indicated they already have either an estate plan, we looked at the ones of that 36, we contacted Josh, and we found out which ones were 60 years of age or older. And so there were 22 of those, 60 years or older. And so we said the average number of $60,000, we multiplied it by 22, and we came up with $1.3 million. And we took 50% of that number. So it was $660,000. So we add all those numbers up, came up to $21,560,000, and our recommended goal was $21,600,000. Now, I know this is a lot of numbers, and it may sort of complicate things, but the point I want to make is the fact that we don't just pull a number out of the air. We do some calculations to try to come up with that number, and that's why we've been successful in the campaigns we've conducted, is because we've done this kind of work and we've come up with that kind of number. Again, one of the things I learned a long time ago is that you never set a campaign goal you know, you need about a 20% lead gift, about a 20% lead gift. So that's about a $20 million gift. You need one gift at $20 million, you need two gifts at $10 million, all the way down. Now come over here in this column, right here, I can show you, marker. And you're showing over here the number of gift ranges we found in the study. So we didn't find any in that 10, 20 million, 10 million, 5 million, $2.5 million. But over here we needed 8 gifts. We needed 8 gifts at $1 million. We found 2. We found 2 in the study. We needed 15 gifts at 500,000. We found 2. We needed 30 gifts at 250. We found 3. We found 50. We needed 50 gifts at 100,000. We found 10. We needed 75 gifts at 50,000. We found 11. We needed 100 gifts at 25,000. We found 14. So that's the breakdown of what we found in terms of our numbers. Now, when you do it, when you finish the campaign, we finished the campaign in 5 years. We'll show you a new gifts table of exactly how all those numbers fell out. And it doesn't mean you're going to get a $20 million gift. It doesn't mean that you need a $20 million gift to be successful in the campaign, because you don't. A lot of campaigns never reach their top number in that gift table. But they also get numbers down below that make that point. So again, it just gives you some idea, because the point I'm trying to make is that campaigns succeed when it's about 90-10. It's not 80-20 anymore. It used to be 80-20. You'd say 80% of money comes from 20% of people. Not anymore. It's about 90-10. And one case I saw not too long ago was 95-5. 95% of money came from 5% of the people. That doesn't mean that the $1,000 or $100 gift is not important, because it is. Every gift in this campaign will be important. It takes leadership gifts to make campaigns succeed. Now, I can tell you that we surveyed, we went outside the top 500. I didn't mention this, but we looked at 10 or 12 people on your list that didn't fit into our calculation, our RFM analysis. They'd never given before, never had a record of giving, and so we said, let's just test this. Let's find out what those people were willing to give if we interviewed. And in one case in particular, that Mark interviewed, the lady gave a high number of $1 million, and even told Mark, hey, I can do $5 million. So that's one of your graduates that you've never been in contact with, you've never talked to before, but look, she was very positive and she was very interested in what you were doing in this campaign. So again, that proves the point that you got to go out there and see people and talk to people. Okay, so again, there's the numbers in terms of campaign objectives, and you can see where we are and all of those numbers. And again, it just shows you the priority that people are putting on the projects. Again, you know, what do you think the easiest amount of money to raise up here is? Scholarships, of course. People give the scholarships. Again, that's an area that a lot of people will get to. A lot of the campaigns, most of the campaigns that we work with are oversubscribed to in scholarships, and other areas tend to be undersubscribed to. Okay. You can't see this, and I won't even attempt to show it to you, but it's an organizational chart, and if we go forward to the campaign, we're fortunate enough to work with you. The point I want to make, without you even looking at it, is the fact that we do a team effort. I'm involved.